As a futurist, I'm often called upon to make predictions, to make forecasts. Given the fact that I interact with many companies and have spoken to hundreds of CEOs in this past year, I'm asked to forecast what's going to happen financially and economically. Now, as we stand here in the first month of 2009, it's a scary time. Several months ago, in the early part of the last quarter of last year, 2008, I made a forecast for the next 24 months, and I've looked at it, and it's still basically true. So with an orientation towards the United States, here is what I think is going to happen for the next 2 years through 2009 into the end of 2010. I think early 2009 is going to be very unpleasant. There's going to be daily, if not daily, then weekly announcements of bankruptcies in the retail sector. This is going to lead to a consolidation of media that's reliant on local advertising dollars. The other thing this is going to do, it's going to create great vacancies in the retail sector, and occupancy rates in retail real estate are going to go down. Real estate occupancy rates are also going to go down in office. So 2009 is going to be a very difficult time for retail, a very difficult time for commercial and retail real estate. Now, all these bankruptcies, of course, are going to increase unemployment. I predict that by the end of 2009, unemployment will be certainly in the high single digits, 8.5% to 9.5%, and could be in 10% in the United States. And that is one thing that I'm fairly certain of. People ask me about the stock market. Now, I'm not a stock picker, but as I stand here in the early part of 2009, I personally believe that the bottom of the stock market has either occurred or is about to occur. Right now, we are living in a fear-based investment world. People are scared to invest, and there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines, basically protecting itself. I'd rather take no interest. I'd rather make no money and hold on to my capital. So the question is, when does that emotion of fear give way to the emotion of opportunity and investment opportunity? And I think relative to the equity market, certainly in the United States and more globally around the world, is going to be spring. I believe that we're going to go into an up stock market, certainly in the last 6 to 8 months of this year, 2009. As far as housing is concerned, the critical fact in the United States, which of course has led the housing downturn globally, is how effective the financial money, the TARP money, gets into the system. I do believe that many of the foreclosures will be consumed by buyers in 2009, and I believe that the interest rates are historic lows, which will prompt first-time buyers to invest. So if the TARP money has been invested well, then I believe that the residential real estate bottom will occur this year, and that in the spring of 2010, we will start to slowly emerge from this historic housing meltdown. Now, the other thing I want to suggest is that the optimism that the new administration is bringing in and their ability to bring stimulus to the American economy and then indirectly to the global economy is the single most dynamic force for this year and must be watched closely. I think that the problem in the short term is deflation. I think certainly for the last part of 2008, carried over into the first quarter of 2009 and perhaps beyond, is the United States and the world is undergoing a deflationary period. Think of anything that you're buying today that costs more than it did a year ago. Obviously, gas has come down, clothing has come down, electronics has come down. Everything costs less today. Why? Because people aren't buying because they're scared, which has a trickle effect. The question becomes, when does all this stimulus money create inflation? I believe that the second half of 2010 is going to be the time where inflation is going to come back, and we're going to have to wrestle with difficult issues about how to deal with inflation given all the money we've printed and put into the system. I think the economic issues for the 2010 elections here in the United States are going to be, how do we begin to start thinking about balancing the budget, and how do we keep inflation from getting out of control now that the equity markets are back and the residential housing markets are back. So in summary, 2009 and 2010 are going to be very rough and difficult and painful. But keep in mind that this is just a reorganization to be preparing ourselves and the world, all countries around the world, for a new global renaissance financially, beginning around 2011 and on for the decade. And that will be the economic explosion of the shift age. So 2009, real rough, continuation of last year, 2008, 2010 beginning to emerge, and then beyond that, great opportunity, assuming we execute and make intelligent decisions over the next 2 years. So that is my economic forecast as I stand here in the beginning of 2009. Thank you.